Hello, this is Daniel. This is my podcast. I'm a longtime yoga teacher and a super long-time musician. My guest today is my buddy Enrique. We're going to talk about music, yoga, creativity, and community. If you dig the podcast and you want to give it a little support, you can go to leavingstressbehind.com. You can hit me with a donation there. There's a donate button. Or you can go to amazon.com/shop/black market yoga Daniel. There's a whole list of things that I use, but it doesn't matter. If you buy anything going through that link, I get a kickback. And, sometimes we need a kickback. Anyways, this is a great conversation with Enrique. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you do too. And let's do it. Hey, there we go. 2 red bars.
Hello.
Really big waveforms.
Uh-huh.
That's what I like.
It's so funny how the way you talk. So it's like it's fat. Like your sound is really fat. Mine is kind of like thin.
You got the shitty cheap mic.
I did?
Yeah.
Fuck it. No, it's okay. At least I bring, different kind of colors to them.
What do you think I should be giving the guest the good microphone? Is that the polite thing to do?
No, this is your show, man. You need to sound like a god.
I am the star. I am the star of the show.
No, this sounds good. Anyways, what I was saying, like my vision, like looking at that is like, wow. So when you talk about microphones, right?
Yeah. Well, okay.
There's different texture, different sound, they sound good both.
Yeah. And I'm keeping all of this. So we're on.
Oh, okay, cool.
But so Enrique is also in the introduction I will say that he is a producer, an engineer, and a yogi. So he knows about my microphones.
True. I love these mics.
This is a 58.
Oh my God. You can't go wrong with that, right?
Well, no, except for you never put them on the toms of a drum. They sound they sound horrible.
Love it.
So okay. We're having beer.
What time is it? Like 11 a.m.?
No, it's 11 p.m. We don't want people to think that we're
alcoholics.
Yeah, right. Okay, so Enrique is engineer and producer. Tell me your last name because I was going to say it, Nambo?
That's true. Nambo.
What
That's
does
good.
Nambo mean?
So as far as I know, I think it comes from Africa.
Oh, yeah.
That's so funny, yeah. So I had no idea, but maybe I have African blood or something.
But you don't know what it means?
No, I don't.
This is your given name?
Mm-hmm.
Your family name?
My father's, yeah.
Your
My last name, yeah.
Okay. And that you also DJ under that name?
I do? Okay, yes, I do.
No?
No. Oh, yes, I do, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, we can't talk about it now, but is there anything we can't talk about? So,
no, we talk about everything here.
Because if there's not, just do hand singles, that hand across the throat. Stop talking about that.
No, remember that, I don't really consider myself a DJ.
Right, I forgot. It's so hard.
But it's okay. It doesn't really matter.
You play record albums.
Yeah, I guess.
Right.
I don't know.
Vinyl.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
Yeah, I guess a DJ, but
That's fun.
yeah.
Okay. So this is the big question, and the question goes on and on. So how long have you been doing yoga now?
Well, now let's see how long. I mean, a year and a half.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's not that long.
So the first class was Steve?
That was Steve. Mm-hmm.
On the weekend?
Mm-hmm.
And you said, I think I like this.
Yeah, it was really hard for me at the beginning. I was like, I will always see people outside like doing yoga and I'm like, I want to be part of this, but I don't know if my body is capable of doing it, right? It's always been afraid about, the new things. But yeah, I took Steve's class and I felt good, but it was really, really hard at the beginning. So that was my first experience.
So a lot, because people think, oh, sometimes people think yoga is just this simple thing. So it was really hard. And then you said, okay, I'm going to go back.
Right.
So what made you have the guts to go back? Because a lot of times people don't like hard things. And you said, okay, this is hard, but you must have got something out of it.
Right. I think I didn't really know my body that well. And so being exposed to a class where they teach you certain, positions where like you're not used to, kind of open a new window for me, like to say, oh, fuck, this is a sensation when you do something new. This is something that is, it's not easy. But I was, at the same time, I was kind of comfortable. I was feeling good about it. But how can I say? It took me a little while to digest it. It wasn't that easy.
It took you a while to digest the first class, or there's probably a continual digestion, but just like the first time you're like, what was that?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I was a little, you always hear a lot of things about yoga, right? You hear about like, people feel good and, people are healthy and all that kind of things. And I wanted to be a part of that. I would say that maybe it took me like a month to really understand that, oh, okay, well, this is the direction that I'm going to go, that I'm going to take. And I did it, man. And, it was little by little, I started feeling better. Like,
how quickly did you go back?
I think I did like once a week for a month.
Right.
Yeah, because I would get so tired.
Right. That's what I want to add. So I actually took my first full long class with Steve too. And I don't know what you did, but when I was done, I went home and I laid on my floor and I fell asleep.
That's what you did. Okay, awesome.
What did you do when you went home?
I remember that I was so relaxed.
Right.
Yeah, I was really tired. Like the pain was there maybe for like 2 days.
You were like having
right.
Like what do they call that?
I don't know, but it was like really like I wasn't really. It's one of those good pains that the body's is going through that, but you're okay. You still you can be functional, all that stuff.
Right, but like after a workout, you're like, okay, I did some kind of workout.
Right.
Like there's like my body is like a little sore.
Right.
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 But so sore, but you still decide to go back.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to find more about it, and actually it's so funny. I think I went to a different class. One of these classes that you have that they give you like a week free.
Oh.
And I remember that I went there and I just didn't have fun. I didn't like it. It was too quiet and too precise and it didn't feel right.
So I always tell people, like some people will say, oh, I went to a yoga class and, it was like, I didn't like it. It was terrible or fucking whatever. But you think like, so the teacher is kind of like, you have to be able to kind of maybe get along with them.
I think it's so important. I think that will make a big difference if you want to continue taking those classes. I always see as a mentor, like the person that you identify yourself with. Like I feel that yoga is very intimate.
Yes.
So you're not comfortable doing, the positions and all the things that we do. So you won't have fun and maybe you won't get the full, beneficial thing about it.
But and since we took our first classes probably with the same person, Steve at Runyon, I think if I would have went there and he was, because Steve can be very gruff and he has like this, I think he has a reputation as being like too kind of like rough and everything.
Right.
But if I would have went there and he was like saying, oh, everybody get in touch with the blah, 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 and we're going to love ourselves. And I would have been like, fuck this, man. Right? Because I wasn't ready to get to that to that, hey, we're gonna love ourselves and all. Like I wasn't. I would have been like, okay, that was nice, and now I tried yoga and fuck off.
Right. Especially nowadays that, everyone is somebody who can really, give you, how to, how can I say, one of these, it's everywhere. Like everyone apparently is someone who can help you and be out there and, help you to open your heart and all these things that I don't see, like you were saying, being with Steve, being with you, being taking these classes, is the kind of yoga that I want to do. I just don't feel identified with, even though that I feel that I'm a spiritual person, I just don't have my flag out there saying, give me your hands, open your heart, let's love each other. Like I just don't follow that. And I think that's why people sometimes get discouraged. Like, oh, fuck, I don't want to get involved in this kind of sect or kind of thing that people call yoga. I feel very good like taking those classes, understanding Steve's personalities, because maybe it's not for everybody, or your personality. But I think that's when I felt the connection with you guys, like.
And it's a personality gig.
Right, it's a personality gig.
Right. So I sometimes feel like, especially beginning yoga teachers, they really lean into that, like, hey, love yourself thing. I think because it's easy, like to just like read some stuff out of a book. But I think, well, for me, I'm going to facilitate something, but then it's up to the students. They're going to find where they're going where they're going. I'm not directing where they're going. I just want to give them the vehicle to get, wherever they're going to get.
Right.
I'm not like trying to pretend like I know where they're going to get or, so yeah, I appreciated that about the early yoga classes, because that would have freaked me out.
I know it takes a little time to understand the kind of yoga that you want to do. And if in your first experience you don't get, this connection with your mentor, with the person that is teaching you, so there is a lot of chances that maybe you don't go back.
Yeah.
Right.
And you need to explore that because, and I think I said that, like if you go to a yoga class and you're like, this is horrible, this is because you can't connect to this person. Right. It's like saying, oh, I'm into music, so I'm going to go down the street and there's some playing music, but you don't know what it's going to be. It could be classical, it could be jazz, it could be blues, and you could be like, well, I don't like music. Well, but you only just heard this one person play music. Maybe you don't like polka. Maybe, you like some other kind of music. So when I decided I was going to be a teacher, I went to the different yoga studios in town. There's a cat. He wants to.
The audience.
I don't know who this cat is, but he wants to move in. He totally wants to move in. He's at the window, and you were asking me about my apartment. It's quiet, but sometimes this cat. He comes to my door and he's crying. Please let me in. Maybe he used to live here. Maybe. And I thought, what
Look
if
at him.
he's scratching on the door? I thought, is this the reincarnation of my old cat?
Maybe.
And he's like, I'm back, motherfucker. Let me in.
That is so cool. Look at him.
I think he belongs to somebody. I don't know.
But why he's here? Like,
I don't know. But he's been going door to door. I think he wants to move in somewhere. He wants to live with somebody. Maybe
with you.
Hi. But I'm allergic to cats.
Oh, okay.
I like them, but
see him through the windows.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he wants to be on the show.
I know, cool. I love that.
But I always like if someone says I don't like yoga, you can't convince people to do yoga. I always say, you know what? Maybe it's not for you. It's okay. Because if you're like, no, you need to do it. You got to do that. People will freak out.
Right. It's one of those things that you know that is working out for you, that you feel good about it, and then you wish all your friends and
Right.
family members and everyone, like, you want to invite them to have this experience. And it's sad to see that some people just look at you as like, oh, okay, you're doing yoga in the park, like
Right.
like, part of the Hollywood scene or whatever, paying like $200-$300 in these establishments. It's sad, man, because you guys' classes are amazing, and I was thinking about that yesterday. Yesterday when we were talking about, like, you were gonna do the class yesterday in the park and it started raining, right?
Right.
But have a person like you, committed to go to the park and put this group of people together who want to feel better. They want to be part of you. They want to do something, and you're taking this, bring it to the park, and have that compromise with yourself and with people. I think it's amazing, and it's like you're breaking all kind of rules. It's like I just love that. Like, have somebody who can you feel good with. Like, it's amazing.
It's very punk rock.
It is very punk rock. It's like, let's do this.
And when I'm trying to be every word that I say with a P goes punk rock podcast. I have to go in and edit this at the end. I need to get a pop filter. I remember when I started as a teacher, because when I started, there was Steve and Kamala and then her sister. But like, if those three people couldn't go to teach, there was nobody, right?
Right.
So, and when I would go up there was nobody there. I was so disappointed because it was so important to me. So when I was brought in as a member of that community, which was like, I didn't know how important it was going to be to me. But my goal was to make sure that when people come up there, there's a teacher, even if it's not a good one. Because in the beginning I wasn't good, but like, I didn't want, because I remember how disappointed I would be when I got up there and there's like no one, and you're like, oh man, I want to be here, part of this today. And when I started there, I'm like, that's never going to happen again, ever.
Right.
I will always be here. When the people show up, someone will be here. If they can't make it, they call me, they text me, or whatever. I did that for a long time, because it was really important.
Well, I think that's one of the things that keep us all together. Have the compromise of being there either at nighttime or in the morning. All of us, taking the time to put a space for ourselves and work in ourselves and having the right person to work with. I think that makes it like it's a yoga experience. It's beautiful and it's awesome, but it's also how can I say, it's magical. It's like, it takes you it helps you with your life. You can go back to your work fine. You can go back to do your whatever the assignments that you have with society in your life. Having this time of being compromised with you and your people, I think that makes a big difference. That will help us to, like, keep working and progressing, and
And because you said your people, so, and that's, it took me a long time, and I think it changes, but it took me a long time to figure out what I was doing, and we're talking now about Runyon Canyon Yoga,
right?
As a whole. So it's not me; it's many people, Kamala and Steve, and Siri. And sometimes I think in yoga experience, so it's nice that the yoga teachers there have been teaching for a long time, and they're good teachers, and they should be trusted because they know what they're doing, because it's been such a long time, and that's fine, But sometimes I feel like I'm facilitating like adult socializing, right? Because
Right.
we live in a very a world where people like I know that there are people that come to class and I'm the only person they talk to all day long.
Right.
Like they haven't talked. They haven't. They get up. They come to class, and that's it. They're with these people, and then they go home, and they're either on their computer or they're at work, kind of pretending like they enjoy talking to people. But it's like this real community interaction, and it's the only time that they have that. It's like this. It's just like this thing. Like it's like they're going out into society, but it's this like safe place, and they're getting to talk to people or hang out with people or be amongst people. It's bizarre that that's very rare now.
Right. It's one of those to describe like the benefits of yoga is like we'll never stop like thinking about all this, but that can be something, you know, like you were mentioning, like there's a lot of people who like don't really talk that much, and they take this moment to socialize and to get to know the person next to them
Right.
and say hi to them and, you know, work together, you know, either in the morning or nighttime in darkness. And it's really nice because if you don't see yoga as yoga, you see yoga as an opportunity to just improve who you are. There's not really a description for like the benefits of, you know, all this beautiful, you know, technique is just amazing. Like that brings people together. It helps me a lot in, you know, like I have really nice conversations with, you know, people from the yoga community, like things that I used not to talk about before. It's like right now I'm getting excited about just, you know, things that we can do together. Or how can we work together or come up with a plan? It's not just yoga, you know, yoga is just part of our lives, and that's really good. It's maybe one of the most important things in our life. But also we also have other activities during the whole day that we had to go through. But thanks to yoga, we can really go through that, you know, easier.
Right. So let's talk about those activities. So you are a musician, music producer. What? Now, you tell me, what is it? What the things that you do? Just briefly.
I do mixing, I do editing, I do composition, I play guitar, and I produce songs. Like I help other people to finalize
Right. So
songs and all that.
so a musician comes in and they want to. Here's a song or here's a band, and you kind of lead them through the process of.
Right. I deal with all the chaos, like, you know.
Right. All the chaos. And well, I have two paths now to go down with this question. Let's go down this path. We'll see if we get to the other one. I'll probably forget. But how has yoga affected how you do that?
When producing music or making music can be a little bit isolated from a lot of things. It's just you on the guitar, you on the speakers, you on the sounds, and sometimes putting all these frequencies, all those colors, all those textures of sounds, it can be very tiring.
Right.
Like you can go crazy, you know this.
Yes.
So
So just in one room, like for a long time.
Right, hours and hours. And then it can be, you know, try to write something, or playing this chord or playing this scale or editing. It's just you and music and sounds and the creative process, if you want to call it. Yoga has helped me to kind of understand all these little situations where I go through. Like instead of me going crazy because the bass line is not sounding right, and it's like I don't find the right frequency to put it out there. I think somehow I am in this moment where I'm like, oh, everything's gonna be alright. If this doesn't work this way, then I find a way with a different bass line or something. I don't really go crazy that much. as I used to. Like before, I was trying to understand why things are not happening. And right now it's like, okay, well, this is not really working. I'm talking about more in the intellectual part, I guess,
Right.
of yoga right now. So it gave me that feeling of that if I don't work, if this thing doesn't work out right now, it's gonna work out tomorrow, or I find something, or you find a solution, but you don't really stress that much, you know. So I feel really, I didn't even notice it. But I feel like every time that I finish a mix, I finish faster. Or when I'm writing something, I don't really deal too much with stress. It helps me to collaborate with other people. Maybe before I didn't think about like mixing heavy metal albums and things like that. And now like somebody came out with like, oh my God, this is what I want you to mix. And I'm like looking and listening and I'm like, oh my God, this is not something that I would do before. But I'm so happy to take the challenge and, to make it sound right, because it comes from a person who believes that I can make that work out. So I go ahead and do it. I don't close opportunities.
So it's an opening.
It's opening in all different aspects. It's like, and that's something that I didn't even notice, but I know I have it right now.
Right.
It's just right here.
Good. Give me 1 second. And we're moving again. I hit pause for a second on the recording because this is the first time I've done the 2 microphone, and I'm paranoid that like it's not going to be saved to the hard drive or something. So you used the word, which is kind of interesting. Hang on. So you use the word intellectual, right? So we're doing in the yoga, for a large part of what we're doing is very physical, right? So we're doing a push-up, we're standing in a certain way, maybe we're breathing, but this has affected you now on an intellectual level.
Right.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's like I say, I don't really have a proper answer for it, but it's just things are easier.
Right. Something like, so there's this whole list of things you don't expect. So you're doing Warrior 2. You're like, okay, I'm doing Warrior 2. It's stretching my leg and, whatever. Or it's strengthening me. This is very, very on the surface. I was under the impression that I was abandoning music when I became a yogi. I had done it for a long time, and there was a lot of things that made me think I'm good. I really tried, and I had some fun, and now I'm going to devote my life to this. A new life, whatever. I don't know what it's going to be. And I didn't think music was going to, I wasn't sure music would be a part of it. Although some really big things, some really monumental things that I did as a musician happened briefly after that, which is, bizarre on 2 different levels. It's bizarre that it's almost as if when you say, okay, I quit, everything comes, right?
Yes.
When you stop trying to push the door open, the door opens.
Right.
But not until you stop trying to push the door open does it open. And so I was asked to co-write this album with someone I had worked with. And I kind of hadn't been writing a lot of music. And in my past life, which was the early part of my life, sometimes I could write a song and sometimes I couldn't. And sometimes I could try to force a song to happen, like, okay, I'm going to write a song. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to say, E to D, and those work together. And then I'm going to say something lyrically that is, I feel is important, and I'm writing a song. But when I started doing yoga, and then there would be times I couldn't even do that. it's like this is garbage. It's not working. I cannot write a song. You listen to other songs, you think, oh, how do they write this song? It's like, and you feel like, I don't think I can write a song, even though maybe you did write songs and maybe they're good or they're not good. And you're like, well, what am I going to do? What is the creative process? So when I got into yoga, I didn't notice it right away, but so I'm talking about the blocks. There with the blocks, like, I can't write a poem, I can't write a song or whatever. I need a pop filter. I'm getting a lot of peas. I gotta turn my head. But with the yoga, all of a sudden it wasn't a problem. I had learned how to allow the song to come to me. Rather than looking for the song, I could sit and the song can come, right?
Right.
So no writer's block, right?
Right.
Like, how the fuck? Go.
It's like you were saying, it's true. It's like when you stop worrying, when you just let things go and take their own direction, you don't really need to look for them, and like they just come to you. And I think that's what makes yoga to have your body very relaxed. Not just your body, but the connection between your body and your mind and your brain and your soul, like whatever you want to call it. So you start doing that, and then life becomes a little different. Like I always say, easier is. We shouldn't really worry about the way that we've been taught to do certain things, like how to write music or how to play guitar or how to do this or that. Yoga brings you in a platform where you can have access to all the things that you want to do without really questioning too much.
Right.
And it's just simple and nice. Like, for instance, like talking to people. Like, I always say, like you're saying too, like you like to talk to strangers. You like to talk to people who you have no idea, what they're doing here, things like that. But apparently yoga also has helped me doing that. As simple as this. So I started taking your classes. I started being a regular. And this is me on the other side of the world in Germany. And I'm like, oh, I know how to do this. I'm just going to look for a place where I can do my yoga practice and all that. Before I would never think about that. Before I would like, oh no, I had to go back to, to LA and start doing my yoga and everything. But see, I was not in LA, and I'm like, oh, I can still be me in another part of the world. And this is me like looking for the same kind of people that I hang out with, the people that I get connections with. And I had such an amazing experience. Like, just bringing yoga into my lifestyle, into the things that I do is just amazing. Yoga is definitely that thing that makes you go through it without hesitating too much.
Right. So you can find like your tribe.
Right. And
Right.
you find the people you want to be with, and the people you have things in common. And yoga is only one thing, like I say, right? Yoga is just maybe the door to open. It's like, oh, by the way, I'm a painter. Oh, cool. And I do yoga too. Oh, I'm a producer. I do yoga too. It's like it's amazing. It brings you new friends. It helps you to talk to people. It helps you to, deal with stress. It makes your body, looks better a little bit, things like that. You eat better for sure. You're more.
So do you think it opens the door, or do you think it makes you I don't know if this is the right word. Does it make you brave enough to go to the door that is already open?
Maybe that one.
Yeah, already open.
Yeah.
But before you were like, I don't know, maybe this is not where I want to go. Maybe it's not according to my plan.
Right.
And then through the opening of yoga, you say, well, I'm just going to go and see what's there.
Right. It is so important, now that you mentioned this, that that even though we have access to this, it is up to the person who really understanding and be able to like really go through that door. Because if you don't really understand it, you might take yoga just like a hobby, which I guess if it works for you is fine. But I always we were having this conversation before that I was asking just like do yoga really help people who like had this kind of negativity in themselves and everything, and everything that you were saying, yeah, but you still need to work for it. Yoga is not that is like, okay, I take an hour class and then I'm gonna be the most positive person in the world.
Right.
It doesn't really work like that. But once you understand it and you embrace it, it shouldn't be that difficult. But then again, it's always going back to the person, not because we have 1,000 books out there like talking about like self-esteem and how to love yourself and all that. That doesn't mean it's gonna work out for you. It's like you still need to have that little extra effort that you need to do. That is not too much to ask. It's pretty simple if you really want to do that change, but you need to find it.
And it's the person's choice.
It is.
So that's on some level, that can be like there's like maybe there's a pitfall, like a problem. The problem is, number one, to think that yoga is going to just go in and sort everything out and make it all
right.
better. So you're dismissing your responsibility
right.
in the process. Like, okay, well, I'm going to go to yoga and then somehow fucking magically I'm going to be a better person.
Right.
Right. And then it doesn't maybe really happen. There's the other end of it is, so I've been teaching for like 14 years. So I've seen a lot of people come and go. So yoga is not good or bad. Yoga is yoga. Yoga is like a guitar.
Right.
So you get a guitar, you have to tune it, and then you play, maybe you have to learn to play a song, but the song can be anything.
Right.
Right? So there's this like again, it's this responsibility of, but it's confusing because, so you get the guitar and then maybe you get a gig, right? And you go on stage and everyone says, yay, that's great. And you go, oh, yeah, okay, it's great, right?
Right.
And then you're in trouble a little bit,
Right.
right? Because I remember someone saying to me, like, this wasn't the phrase, but like, I see the light, oh, like I've opened up and I've seen, and yoga has made me see this way, and I'm now everything is great. But then right at the end of that, they say, why doesn't everyone else see it?
Right.
Which is a problem, right? So then it becomes this, like, you're at this other level. And as soon as you see yourself at some other level, then it's like the Lord of the Rings, right?
Right.
You put the ring on, like, and then there's this power. And I've seen that a lot, where people, like, you can choose the wrong road and it's okay.
Right.
But it's not a guarantee when you go into that you're going to go to the rainbow and sunshine.
Right.
Right. There will always be opportunities to go to the other side. So it's and as a facilitator, you can only direct people so much, and if some people get to that point where, like, I went to this yoga studio once, and I was waiting in line to sign up for the class. And the guy behind the desk says to me, "Oh, hey, Daniel." I didn't know who he was, right? But he had taken my class, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, cool to see you. I'm sorry I don't remember your name." And he says, "Well, I have a spiritual name now." And I thought, "Yeah, but I didn't remember your name." So it seemed like he had put this label on it, that he had reached this other level. And I was troubled by it,
Right.
because he could have just said, "Well, my name is now Bhagavan, whatever the fuck." And I would be like, "Great. It was cool to see you again." But he wanted me to know that he had attained another level. But I think and this is my opinion, and maybe it's like this judgmental thing, but by telling me, some guy standing in line to give him $15 for a yoga class, by him telling me that he had attained another level, it had taken that level away.
Right.
Because he saw it as like buying a new car. Well, I drive a Lamborghini now.
Right. I can see that. It's just kind of getting lost in there. Like I say, I think yoga is for everybody, and you take it the best way for you, the best way it works for you. But then when you have this kind of personality, but you just don't buy it anymore. You're like, "Oh, okay, cool." Like, he doesn't need to announce that. Maybe he was, I don't know, a bigger name or like higher. I don't know. But we don't need to advertise it. We don't need to say like, I'm the most soulful person in the world, and then come to my circle. Like, no, it's not like that. It's,
It's a potential pitfall.
right.
It's a potential trouble. But when we go through the trouble and then we learn, hopefully then we can see something else.
Right. Maybe that's his own process of, I don't know, helping himself.
But it's important to me that people understand there's a free will. That yoga is not something that's going to force you somewhere, that it's not going to do something in some exact manner. That the whole time it is up to you. Free will, showing up and directing your life and realizing that your choices are your choices and your choices are controlling where you go and what you do, right? So, and that can go to every facet of your life.
Right.
However you want to process that. How do you know when the mix is done? Music, song mix, engineering, back to producing. Segue. Boom.
There's two ways. Okay, if you have a deadline that you have to, so the mix has to be done, and it's gonna be done. And that's the first one.
Right. Okay.
I don't know if it's gonna be amazing, but it's gonna be done. And the other one is then I go back again to some things, just let the instruments fly, get together, create this beautiful piece, and put it out there. And, ears are always different for everybody. The way that we listen to things is different. So I guess it's just you as an engineer, you have to deliver that mix the best way that you can. And if the client likes it, then we're fine with it.
Okay, so one, deadline. Number two, if the client likes it.
Right.
Is there a three? What are you aiming for when you start? Are you aiming for, I want the client happy, I want to hit the deadline?
My priority is the song, the song itself.
The song. Mm-hmm. The song as you interpret it?
So if the client is requesting a certain way, like, I want my song to sound like this other song, like The Weeknd or any other artist, then I go in that direction and I try to follow that. If the client doesn't have any idea, but they just he just keeps saying, oh, I want this to be bigger and this to be in the back and all that. Then I follow that idea. It's always good to have a reference, what the person is looking for. And but I go with everything. If the person doesn't have a reference and he's letting me fly, then I go and I do the best I can to deliver something,
that you like.
that I feel the song can sound really awesome.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 and 2, deadline, what the client wants. 3, what you think analytically is correct.
If it's for a client, not exactly what I really feel like. If it's for a client, I will just go 150% of what he's asking for.
Right.
But if we're talking about like my own music, then it's a completely different direction. Like the song can go, or we can change things all around, and
They don't cross over those kind of feelings between yours and the clients. So it's very separate.
It is separate.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I think it was a mistake that I made that I did not separate that. I didn't. When I used to be an engineer and a producer, I think that I did not separate my
Your personal.
my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to.
Right. But also can be, a good thing when it comes to your style of mixing or producing. Like the people that you work with they want you because you have this kind of personality when it comes to sound and all that, and they want to work with you, right?
If it works.
It's more like an artist, producer, an artist, mixing engineer, kind of like you have your own taste, your own approach to sounds. And the other one is if the client's like, okay, yeah, it's good what you do, but I want this song to be like this, then you forget about, what you want to do with it.
Right. Is there, well, see, that's interesting. And it's been a long time since I did it. And I was an engineer and producer before I've been trying to meditate for a long time, and I've had on and off meditate longer than the yoga. So we're bringing it kind of back to there. Not that we have to, but when I was doing mixes, and I don't know if it was just for my projects, and I don't think that I had them separate. There was a physical feeling inside of me when I got close, when I thought I got close. So when I thought that the mix was proper or good, because to me at the end of the day, whether the snare drum and the kick drum are loud enough, or whether the guitars are loud enough, or the right EQ, it really is not important. So what was important was my body would start to rock when I was doing the mixes, like I was taken over by the music. Mm-hmm. And when I felt that, I started to think that I was close to the answer.
Right. You were feeling the music, you were feeling the song.
Do you feel the song when you're working?
I do, but at the same time also like being sonically, listen everything, like all the frequencies and all that. At the end I always go, what the song is asking for. I think a good song will sound good with, like 80% okay mix.
Yeah, a good song will, it's almost your job to get out of the way of it.
Right.
Because the only thing you can do with a good song is ruin it. Because
right.
You could almost just put up a microphone and a good song is a good song.
Right.
How do you know it's a good song?
I try not to analyze it. I try to just, if someone plays the song, I'm like, oh, okay, I like this one. If I, in between, in the middle, the chorus or the first verse or any part of the song, if I feel like, if I move my head like, what? Then I feel that automatically that song is going to need an extra something to make it sound good.
Instinct.
Yes. Like when you question the song, so most likely it won't be like a good song kind of thing. Right. Kind of like, why would they put those backgrounds there? Things like that. When we listen to a good piece, you're like, oh, fuck, man. Like you go the whole time, shaking your head and all that. I always say that when you question the song, that makes you, oh, okay, maybe it's not not yet completely or something.
Do you listen to it again and see? Because like the first yoga class, you're like, wait a second, what's going on here?
Right.
So then you go again and again, and then it becomes something else. So a musician with a different background, they come in and you're like, psh, what's this? Right. And you're like, I don't know if this is right.
Right. Yeah, I guess. I guess because it's happening to me sometimes. Sometimes I got songwriters coming with their guitars and they sing the songs and all that, and I can see the potential of the song, but it's not there completely when they present it to me.
Right.
Because there's missing something. There's like either she's a little pitchy, or she's like needs to work a little bit more on the guitar part, or things like that. So you can really see the potential when the song is good. Like I say, like if it's a demo and the song sounds good enough, even though if it's not well played, it's like, oh, okay, we can do this again and we can do it in the right way. So I guess you can see that as, being new, a yoga class,
That's funny. And so I produced this one album. It was from my friend, Tom, Romero. I'm not saying he's not nobody, but nobody knows his music. He's in New York now. And I remember he had done a lot of pre-production by himself. And he had recorded the song like with a drum machine and all these different parts. And he brought it to me. And when I listened to it, it gave me chills.
Oh, cool,
right?
Man.
And that was great. And I wasn't sophisticated enough as a producer, because I should have left it and said, "Good job," right? But instead, we came in and we put a drummer over it, and we brought a bass player in, and we kind of got. And it didn't have the same feeling. Yeah. And I always, the recording wasn't as good it wasn't good. It wasn't a good sonically, but there was an emotional transfer of energy.
Right.
And vibrations.
Right.
But it was a mistake.
That can go into two different ways. One can be like, I think we've all been in that kind of situation where like the sound is good, the song it has potential, and you're like, what am I gonna do? I mean, the song is good already. What am I gonna put violence to it?
Right.
So I think it's more in the early stage of being a mixing engineer or producer, which. At the end, if we do it, whatever we do, I guess at the end it's going to have a result, and then we learn from that result, right?
Right.
So I guess next time when you're in that kind of situation, you're going to do something different, right? Because you like kind of understand more like, okay, I don't mess around with this because this is already done good, right?
Right.
But then you can enhance the song in different ways. But I think that's awesome that we go through that, because I think we all had to go through that. But the second one is, it is so important to let the song be the song. It's sometimes if we're not using the right compressor, or we don't use the same plugin and everything, we start questioning. Oh no, this doesn't have this compressor, or this was recorded with this cheap microphone, and we shouldn't really question those things, right? If the sound is good enough. That happened to Adele in one of the songs that she was doing. She was pre-producing this song with the producer, and then she did this really amazing vocals with a cheap microphone, which is not cheap, but $500 microphone, no, a U87 or something. And they're like, oh my God, this sounds really good. We're gonna do this in the right, studio with the right microphone. It's like, yeah, let's do it. Well, she could never get that sound again,
right?
And then they ended up using those, those vocals that she did with a cheap microphone. So I guess it goes back to the same thing. Like, it's awesome to go through those situations because we learn from them, But at the same time, it's like so once we have that sound, I think our job as producers and engineers is like, okay, so I'm not gonna fuck with it. It's like this is good enough, you know.
Right.
Like,
And you feel like, well, why the fuck are they even here?
right.
What's my job
I
now?
know. Right? What do I do?
I heard stories about Rick Rubin, and I had talked to someone. I think he'd worked on their album, and I think they'd send like a lot of times like he just laid on the couch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now I look back and then I'm like, why couldn't I just lay on the couch? Because it was right, you know.
Right.
And I know he's produced a lot of things, and maybe not everything you do isn't going to be great.
Right.
You're trying to do great and you're learning, but he has a great history of producing many good things. But like to just, something they say, sometimes he didn't even show up. You know, he would call on the phone, how's it going? Right? And we would say, oh, it's going good. And he'd say, okay, great. You know, like to create this space for the artist to be the artist.
Right.
And knowing your role in that.
And I think like that's why we're living in a moment that people are noticing those changes. It's like if the body feels good, if the person feels comfortable, the person can really deliver something beautiful, you know? And, you know, all these big companies like Google or Yahoo or like Netflix, I heard, they have these places where like people don't really have those square offices one after the other. They have like a big living room, you know, they have a really nice pool table or something.
Free kombucha.
There you go.
Right, because we talked to our friend at
Right,
yoga
exactly.
the other day, and she said they have free kombucha.
I know,
at
right?
Netflix.
And she was saying that I had breakfast, an amazing breakfast, and then it was like almost 12, and she's like, "Oh my God, like I'm already full, but I'm, you know, we have lunch coming right now or something," and apparently that kind of environment is saying something about like the way we are changing.
Right.
So we feel good, then we can deliver something better. You have less stress, then you can be more, you know, you can be like ready for all these kind of adversities that you find every day in your life, I guess.
So we're listening on a different level.
Right.
So we go to the yoga class, and I'm wrapping it all back to the beginning, which I didn't know I was going to be able to do. But so you go to the yoga class and you're like, what the fuck? My body, it feels weird. But then the body becomes a listening device.
Right.
Right? So then we hear the art, we see the art, whether it's listening, as we talked about music, or a visual, and we process it on a different level.
Yes.
And we experience it like, again, so we talked about the door is open. So when the door is open, then you see a painting or you hear a song. And like I've said at Black Market Yoga, like, because there's a lot of music there, and I said, like, I didn't stop listening with your ears.
Right.
No more ears, right? We want to experience this song without the ears.
Right.
So
It's seeing life from a different angle. It doesn't have to be the way that we're used to do things. I have this story. I was taking this class with a famous engineer, and he was saying that this girl from this one, Annie Lennox, like
Annie
came
Lennox.
to the studio and
the
said,
Eurythmics.
yes, and then she came to the studio. It's like, I want you to look at this picture, and I want you to deliver a mix like this.
Wow.
So, and then it's like, so it's not really the ears completely, you know, it's your whole, this is the whole spectrum, it's the whole thing. It's like, and completely makes sense, right? Because, you know, those kind of arts are like a piece of feeling. And then.
It only makes sense, though, when you're there.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
I feel like it took me a long time to get there. Because like Eddie Kramer
right.
would talk about working with Jimi Hendrix, right? And you think about Jimi Hendrix being dead at 27, you're like, fuck, at 27, I just had nothing. I wasn't there, man. I wasn't there. And I can't judge myself for not being there, you know, but I don't understand how Hendrix was there, right? And he would say to Eddie Kramer, I want the guitar to sound more red or blue or, whatever, which is like, it seems abstract, right?
Right.
Because you're not there. But when you're there, and as we talk about experiencing the music rather than hearing the music,
Right.
it's a totally different world.
It is. It's and like you were saying, it's not that everyone will have access to it, but it's up to us to really understand it and feel it, because a song can sound really good for you, and another person can be like, "Wow, what is that?" So it's life itself.
But so okay, and that's a great point. Hendrix reached a lot of people, so he was on the other side of the door,
Right.
and he was able to receive the information on the other side of the door as an open human being,
Right.
and then deliver it through the door to the people that did not wish to go through the door, and send it to them and have them experience it on an ear level or a physical level. And then it's like a message.
Right. Right. And he was the person who did that for all of us. Like, it's like, man, how is that possible? How can he play? How can he can sing? How can do he took us somewhere, you
Yes.
know. And then again, not everyone was capable of understanding that. A lot of people would say, "Oh, he's just in drugs." Oh, he's this or he's that. So it's up to the person to be part of that as well. So
Yes.
all the listeners, all the people, I mean, you as a guitar player, it's like you do understand the playing, you do understand the sound, you understand the reverb, the delay, and all that. Like you're like ahead of a lot of people. But some other people didn't have that opportunity or don't wish to open that door. It was like, okay, cool, well, he was that good, but I like this instead, So it's up to the person, then goes back again to the same thing. Yoga is out there. That is up to the person who really want to embrace it and get the best out of that, And music the same way, Hendrix is an amazing example to put out there, for everybody. And I think all these people who felt his music, they're in a different level, man, because music is not the same anymore, like when it comes to that kind of playing.
And they maybe don't understand,
Yeah.
but they still experience it.
Right.
So the artist's job in society is to bring it through the door that society is not ready to go through.
Right. No, we're in charge of exposing ourselves to the deepest level. If you really want to, build out that connection, you cannot be shy about it. You just go and write and expose and play and hopefully create that connection, And it's not even about how skillful you are or how many skills you do know or how many experience you have. It's you knowing how to put that thing out there. And
Do you think they know, or do you think it is like I don't want to say accident, but
I don't think there's like like a precise answer for it. I think when we see a great performer, we just feel it, and we're like, when I always put this example, it happens to me with saxophone players or trumpet players. When I hear that thing that is like getting into my heart, it's like, oh fuck, those sounds, that melody. It's like I don't even know what he's doing, but like the way that he's doing the performance, it's like, oh my god, I'm done. This is awesome. I don't feel it like that. I think, and maybe it's bad that I say that, but I feel like sometimes you have to go through pain to really be able to expose those feelings. I don't know. At least on those melancholic notes, and
right.
But I hope not, though. I think maybe you're really happy you can also do that.
Well, that's like, and I don't know what the answer is, but it's like, what is the pain, right? Is it a like a steering device? Is it because I mean, I think that Hendrix had pain. I think that he was he wished he had his mother.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so he's. I don't know. Want to say that he's dealing with that, but through that searching, he's. I don't know. I can't explain it.
It's I think the way that he could express those feelings, he was using the guitar as a vehicle, and it's like, well, this is what I'm feeling it, and I'm gonna transmit that to my fingers, and then I put it right there, and then with the sounds and all that, it's like it creates something that is difficult to describe. How can you describe one of his performance? Like,
it's like he's doing therapy on himself.
Right.
And by doing therapy on himself, he's doing therapy for all of mankind.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the people that hear it. And it's too much, man.
Yeah, it's just unreal. And that's why I think it's getting harder and harder to be able to have those kind of players and performers.
You think it's getting more difficult?
It's getting more difficult because we have a lot of tools, how to do music, how to create music, but at the same time we're also getting lost with those tools because we are too many that you don't know if you're playing the right guitar, if you have the right strings, or you have the right pickup, like all those little things
right.
that then go back again to like, can we just play the guitar?
Well, and there are two sides to that on some level, because you know, people are like, I want the Hendrix sound, or like, I want the Beatles sounds. But the Beatles, the guitars that they played those guitars because that's all they could get. Right? George Harrison wanted a Stratocaster, but he couldn't get a Stratocaster in Germany or England, so he played like this Gretsch, but it's not what he wanted. So he didn't have all the options that we have. On the other hand, at the Monterey Pop Festival 1967, Hendrix had Marshall stack amplifiers flown to the festival. And he was the only one at that festival to play them. And that's like, I always think about it like he's got like the brand new iPhone, right?
Right.
And he gets on stage and he turns the brand new iPhone on 10 all the way across the board. And he does this like insane, like it pushes, like he's not even afraid. Like, I'm going to put everything on 10 and just like push it all the way to the limit. So like he was using that technology. That's,
oh my God, it worked out really good for him though.
yeah, right.
Yeah. So it's funny, like someone is doing that part of the gig, I guess. Like he already got the song and he's playing the composition. But there's another person building an amplifier.
Right.
And saying, I'm going to do this amplifier so a person like him can play with this. And it's like it became greatness.
And that's the other element of it, because the person who invented the Fender Stratocaster didn't know that some guy would turn it upside down and then play it through this other amplifier with the fuzz on it, the fuzz face distortion box on it. And like he took so someone makes a hammer, right? And then someone goes to the hardware store and they build a hammer and they're like, well, this hammer is to build a house or a box or whatever. And they take that hammer and they build a community. Right? You're like, whoa. It's like, I didn't know. Even the person who designed the hammer doesn't know. Leo Fender,
right.
the creator of the Fender guitar, and the people that helped him made the Stratocaster, when they saw Jimi Hendrix, they were like, oh shit. Who knew that this, it's like the internet. When the internet first started, no one thought there was going to be all these things.
Right.
And now there's all these things.
The apps that are happening right now.
Apps, websites. And,
so I think we have the tools out there. So I guess it's the better that we kind of acknowledge and that there is a bunch of tools right there accessible for us. It's just a matter of getting the right tools. Like, there's a lot of kinds of yogas. There's a lot of workouts. So whatever you feel that you can work with. use it as a tool, just to keep, your life.
Yes. Toolbox.
Like a toolbox. Yeah.
Right. Okay. You got a website, Enrique?
I do. It's my website is vinylsoulmusic.com.
Okay. You want to spell that, or it's easy? vinylsoulmusic.com.
Yeah, it's just like that.
So if people want to hire you as a producer, hear your music, they can email you through there. You got an email?
Yeah, it's contact@vinylsoulmusic.com.
Great.
So yeah.
And they can find you at Yoga at Black Market in Runyon.
Yes.
Say hello. I think, I was laying in bed the other night, like not quite falling asleep, and I thought maybe I should play at the end of this like a song. Like just like let it like right now the song is coming in.
Marketing.
Yeah. Well, because we talked about all these different things, so it's like talking about a painting.
Right.
And then people are trying to visualize the painting. So now I want to play the painting. What song should I play? Should I play the People song? You got a song that you prefer off or the Vinyl Soul album? Because Vinyl Soul is a band. It's also the website where if they want to contact you, it's a producer.
Right.
What song are we going to play?
I think People should be fine.
Oh, cool. Because that's convenient since I already have it on my
Perfect.
my laptop. Anything else?
Well, I'm so happy to be here, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I'm so happy that I hope I didn't ruin.
Oh no. No, it was great. And I all the people listening, it's like we're in this little gathering that is with all different tools to be in the gathering. We're using the internet, we're using technology, and we're using the human interaction. And thank you, Enrique, for coming.
Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you for everybody listening. And here we are with some music.
Taking a look around at my world today, wondering if I'ma be okay. Sun is shining and it keeps on raining, and my heart is so full of pain, and I just can't seem to figure out the reason why. Could this be the end of time when the sun don't shine, and the only light in a blackened sky is a one-way fight? Rumors and rumors, I don't wanna fight no more. Is there any freedom from the bondage of this life I live? Oh, what I would give to see my people free from captivity. And Pharaoh, let my people go. Let my people go. Pharaoh, let my people go. They can't clap their hands, they can't sing and dance, loosen the chains from dance. Pharaoh, let my people go. We need some healing in this land. Of a better land, but the man has the upper hand, and he wants to send me back. So now I'm stuck here in this desert land, forced to work every single day, selling our bodies to get paid, and our souls just to see another day. Can you spare some change? I know you can, Mr. Superficial Man. Chasing pretty faces, fame and cash. To me, what happened to the passion into music of the soul? We lost ourselves in a world of reality shows. Can we find the truth in between extremes? Once again, let freedom ring. All my people sing with me. And